to another hot lap video, round 13 for us. High speed ring, full torrential rain setting, and then I'll do this lap guide, do the usual format, and then the second part of the video will involve a full dry lap, just so we know what it's like and the differences. Let's hop aboard. You can hear me hopefully over the rain. Brake balance, just test it with the Mclaren. I'm hovering around 2 or 3 to the rear. Seems to keep a bit more steady under brakes. Give it a little bit more rotation as well. So usual reports of wet weather. Again, this is equal conditions mode, the exact same that you will do within race 1. 0 meters per second wind, so you don't need to worry about that for race 1. Race 2 you will. So just brake markers accordingly. Is just the car's width off the race line is generally where the grip starts. You'll find if you're on the race line, it'll understeer out to car's width wider than the racing line, and you'll find you start to get a bit more grip, a bit more turn in, etc. So just experiment. This is good. There's slightly different lines you can take, but be aware the different lines you take. People can show their nose up the inside, etc. in race day. So be aware. Coming into the first one, so there's no 150 meter board, but yeah, roughly around 150 meters. So before the dirt starts on the right, there just before the 100, make sure you're on the brakes. Wet weather, not jamming your brakes on. If you pull it off, you can shave a little bit of seconds, but just 50% brake. Better to brake earlier and lighter, keep the car stable, keep the flow going. So yeah, well, 75%, 80% there for me to begin with on this one. So main spot, this track, staying high here, use your gears to rotate if need be. That's the same in the wet and dry, that line. Pulling it out to, so yeah, about here. So I use the end of the bridge, or that line. Sometimes you can't really see it in the wet. But yeah, use the barriers on the left as they change, as you be on the brakes just before that. Keeping it just that car's wider than that dry line, using your gears to rotate, watching your traction, keeping the flow of the car going. I'm never on 100% really through here. I'm only on 100% when I know I can get full traction and full drive from this car. So on the wet, drifting it over here just to give you that nice entry into this last corner. So try not to get on the curb there in the wet. Can definitely throw and suck your car into that right wall. A little bit out of the brakes, up to 25-30%. Stay as high as you can. Don't get on this wall. Again, this is where the practice part takes in to account. Get as high as you can. Can get a bit slippery up high there. But yeah, so just try and stay that roughly here, even just a little bit more further down, keeping that whole speed of the bend going. I just want to take note, so there's big puddles on the right, race 2, you I haven't done much testing on it yet, but inters around here, as long as you avoid these big puddles here, which aren't the be all and end all, but on some of the apexes, etc., inters aren't that much off wets. So second race, I reckon it's probably going to be an inter start, just so you can get further on into the race before going onto, say, mediums. So yeah, just be aware. Take note of where these big puddles are in the wet, because yeah, you don't want to hit those on inters. So yeah, 22-1 there. I'll leave it to the old hot lap without me talking. Yeah, and then we'll switch to the dry run. Okay, with the beauty of editing, it's now magically dry. Hodes again for this race, so thanks for volunteering to be part of the hot lap guide. Honda looks actually to be pretty strong around here too, so yeah, let's go. So in the dry, look at that, we're only on the lap 3, that tyre wear, so I'm hovering around again, same 2 to 3 to the rear. Brake bias, just to kind of help that front right, that tyre does take a beating. If that's our car, imagine some of the others. So yeah, be aware. Softs aren't a mandatory tyre for the second race, but I figured I might as well do it on the quickest tyre, the lap guide. We'll go from there. So the line changes. You can follow the standard rubbered in line for that. So here's where time is won and lost. I'm braking around the 50-metre board, if not just before, and keeping it as high to that fence line as possible. Be aware, it will be brought up. Do not wall ride. Yes, it can shave lots of seconds, not lots of seconds, but a second or two, but it is forbidden in wheel to wheel. It used to give you penalties, it doesn't seem to be giving you penalties anymore. Again, be careful. The odd touch here and there throughout the race, no one's going to cause a stink about, but in qualifying and that, just, yeah, do not proper wall ride. I know you guys are all good, but yeah, if you see other people do it, save your recent replays for qualifying. Save your recent gameplay, because it is a reportable offence here, because it can gain you up to that second, like I said. So, hard on the brakes at 50. 3/4 brakes, trailing in, keeping it so the safe bit is learn to keep your middle of the car on the white line, and then use your gears. Sometimes the car feels like it pulls itself around. It's weird. And you can see, look there, front right, super hot. So that's where that tyre wear comes in. Again, similar to the wet, but you can go about that 50-metre board instead of about here with the wet. Following the rubbered in bit of the track, you can get up on the curbs if you want. Using that gears to help get over here to the right, keeping that speed up, momentum going, and touching the apex. Throughout the race, make sure you, when you can, ease that stress of that front right. Doesn't matter what tyre you're on, just to help a bit of tyre wear. Different line here in the dry. I keep it fully tucked over to the right, instead of bringing it in from the left side with the wets. Riding this curb really wants to set you up for this corner, so there's only a marginal lift here, and you can see the tyre marks kind of tell you where you're turning in as well. Some marginal lifts to help get tucked in, and then just staying as high as you can, easing that steering wheel where you can, just to reduce that strain on that front right. So that's a 14.2. Yeah, like I said, mediums are the mandatory tyre. After the wet weather will go away in race 2. I think it's probably going to be an Inters. Inters for as long as you can, then on the mediums, and go from there. I hope that helps. I'll leave it with a unedited lap. Just pay particular difference to the different lines in the wet and the dry, and your braking applications and throttle. So yeah, good luck and good round last week. Let's carry it on.